ready to have a rave in here. Welcome. Welcome to vlog number 1 of production workshop auditory adventures. Oh, my name is Simon. I make music I make music under the alias DekKsTr. Here we are in my studio. Oh, I should mention, I'm a music producer. I wanted to start doing a vlog series on productions, beats, songs, tracks that I was working on, because it's a good opportunity to share the adventure or misadventure. Hopefully we can bounce some knowledge and experience off one another. So recently I've been doing more collaborations with other artists. This is the first time in a while where I've just got to sit down and focus on something that is just all me. And I've had a lot of ideas swimming around in my head for a long time now, and I really wanted to share and explore some of those with all of you. And if they work out, then this will be a raging success. If they don't work out, then hopefully we can still have a good time and learn for next time. Here we are in my new session on Ableton. Now, as you can see in the collection section here, I sometimes like to label particular sounds and pads and drums with a particular mood so that I can slot one into whatever production session that I'm looking at the time. I feel as though it's quite useful just to have them on hand so that if I need to have a particular type of vibe, I can just slot that in there without too much trouble. I've been going through these this evening, and there is a particular sound that I came across called chord analog brass. And I tried this out, and I feel as though this has massive potential to do something really, really fun with. I don't know what my original thinking was putting it in smooth exactly. I don't know if that's what we're going to end up with at the end of this session, but I really like the sound itself. Give it a listen. It has a very square sound to it, meaning it's quite sharp on the ears, very distinctive. Not particularly smooth, I don't think, but I think that there's still a lot of potential for us to do something with this. So I've dragged it into the session, and I'm going to tweak it a little bit in just a moment. So let's actually give a listen to how it sounds when we play it. Okay, so I'm going to duck the filter cutoff slightly, just so that it has a bit more of a mellow sound to it. Give me a bit of a Disclosure vibe with this, with the sound of this synth right now. You might have heard me playing this specific pattern or using these particular notes that I think sound really cool together. It goes like this: G, G, D, D, F, F, C, C. When I actually hear the harmonies that come through, it sounds as though we're actually based in E minor. I'm going to try and find the tempo that I think works best with this kind of vibe that I'm going for at the moment. I'm actually going to raise it a little bit from there. For now, I'm liking the sound of that, so let's punch that in real quick and see what it sounds like afterwards. Just off camera now, I thought of another pattern that I thought could be really cool, and I want to try it out now and see if I can maybe fit it in somewhere later on. Okay, so I'm really liking the way that these chords are sounding, and actually I have a pretty good idea of where I think this song could go, or this track could go, pretty soon. At the moment I'm thinking that I'm going to need to add in a bass line for sure, something to really keep it grooving, like kick and clap rhythm, probably something quite simple, something that's like very easy to two-step to. And I have a lot of live shakers and tambourines and things that I think could really help along with the groove as well. So I'm thinking of going in perhaps a sort of hip house slash synth funk type of direction. Let's see if I'm right on that when we come back to it. It's weird coming back to doing music after what has felt like kind of a hiatus for me creatively. I feel as though I haven't had a lot of time to put ideas into practice. So that's what I want to do now. And I'm probably putting the pressure on by vlogging about it for the first time as well. But I thought it would be kind of a cool thing to do as like a reintroduction back into production. Hopefully it can also be a teaching and learning experience for you guys as well. I want to hear what you think about my process by the end as well. So if you feel as though there's anything that I could be adding to the process to make it better, just any tips and tricks that I'm not incorporating at the moment, then definitely leave those in the comments, because I'm going to be reading all of them and I want to know what I could be doing to have better production in the future. Okay, new day, new week in fact. This is about a week later from when I was recording last, which is probably going to be indicative of the way that I do these videos a lot. It's just recording as and when the time comes. But a lot has happened in the time since. I went to a studio locally, a different studio, to do some recording with a singer that I'm working with. That session went really, really well. I also had a trip to Canterbury. I'm from London originally, so that was quite a nice change of pace from what I'm usually used to. But I'm not making this into a vlogging channel or anything. I really want to get focused back on the music, because I was really happy with the way that things were sounding with this track before I left it to go away. Everything that I've done so far is unquantized, so let's see how it's sounding all together at the moment. So obviously I left the click track on because I wanted to see how well those live elements are fitting in with the synth that we did earlier on, without anything being quantized. And honestly, I'm really tempted to leave those parts as it is. As I say, I like it to feel a little bit more loose. The other sequenced elements that I'm going to add in very shortly are probably going to need a bit of quantization. So let's see what happens when we add in some kick and some bass as well. Not feeling the kick so much at the moment. I think I'm gonna sidechain compress everything else around the kick. Okay, another thing that I always like to really do with my kick is to layer a 808 at the bottom and then have a different kick on top, so that it adds a little bit of character to it that the 808 would be missing just on its own, because you need the 808 for that bump, but it sounds a bit basic if it's just on its own, and I think that's kind of what I'm running into here already at the moment. So I'm just going to quickly cycle through some of the kicks and see if I can find something that could work well. This one that I quite like at the moment. That's another one. I quite like, there's a little bit of top end sizzle that I quite like on this particular one. It's got a little something. And the 808. So we put them together. I'm going to take the pitch down on that second kick. I think we need to dial back some of the top end as well. Okay, I'm going to completely contradict myself here, because I was saying before about how the high end of that 808 kick would be redundant, and I've just dialed some of the high cut back in, and it sounds way more like the kind of feel I was going for. But that's kind of what this is all about, right? Like, I'm kind of like doing this as I go, and what I had in my mind of how I wanted this to hopefully sound is, at least for the drums, to have a bit of a Disclosure type of feel to them. And I've noticed that they do actually have like a higher end in their drums. I added in the second kick to try and add that, but it just doesn't quite sound as good as having the 808 high end in there as well. Like, that to me has a bit more of like a Disclosure groove to it. What happens if I add the second kick in as well? That just sounds military to me now. It's so crazy how you can go from just being so fixated on an idea of like what is going to sound good, and you add more and you add effects on and you make cuts and boosts and all this other stuff, and oftentimes the original is just kind of like what works the best for you. And I feel like this might be one of those instances. I'm going to dial that second kick down a lot from where it was, just to see if it's adding anything at this point. It does add a little bit more character to it, so I'm going to keep the second kick for now. Let's see what happens as we move on. That last one might have been a bit off, but we move. Yeah, I could quantize, but I feel like I'd rather just do a different take. Hi-hat is way too loud, so I'm going to take both the volume and the pitch down. Already sounding a lot better. I have no idea if this is going to add anything to the mix, but why not give it a go? That's what I was looking for. That's the sidechain compression that I needed. I might just copy and paste that onto other tracks and see how it helps. There we go. Now the clap's able to breathe a bit whilst everything else is getting compressed. This is what I was waiting for. This is the groove that I needed. I feel like it could even be like hitting a little bit more. Okay, I'm really liking the way this groove is sounding now. Obviously there's lots of tweaks and mixing things that can be done in the meantime, but I feel like this is a really good foundation. And there's one thing that I just want to try real quick. Muting the kick track that I have the sidechain compression on, and I'm going to duplicate it so that there's another one running. So that hopefully means that when I take out the kick, as long as the muted one is still running, then the sidechain compression will still be in effect, if that makes sense. Okay, this can work. We can make this work. Now, if I've managed to do this right, we can get the sidechain compression working even when I take out the kicks in certain parts. Feeling it. The bass does need some work. I like the pattern, I like the rhythm. I'm just thinking that in terms of the sound, whilst it's okay for now, it is like the default preset that I have for that bass. So I feel as though we could add a little bit of sauce to it to really like get that bass moving and grooving. So let's see what we can come up with. I've also added two different sounds. I've added some maracas, and I've added some water drop sound effects with a load of pitch automation on them just to make them sound extra water droplet-y. I always like to use some kind of left field, weird, unexpected sound effect in a beat somewhere. And I feel like this could be good, but I feel as though it could maybe sound better if I layered it up with a snare. So that's something that I want to try and do now. Let's see how it goes. This is always every producer's favorite part of the process. Scrolling through presets until you find something that sounds vaguely okay. Do you know what? With a water droplet, might be onto something here. Okay. Might have damaged my ear canal. Let's copy the reverb over from the water droplet sound effects to the snare. Hey, we might be onto something. What if I take the water droplet out? Well, now you can't even hear the water droplet, so we need to rebalance this. No, 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 no. Oh, it's the same thing. I like this one. Hold on, we might be onto something. How many times have I said that in this video? That first one is too quiet at the moment. I think it might also be a bit too low. Oh, yo, how did I do that? It's suddenly in the same key. Am I a genius? Yo. Hey! This is it. This is going to be the one. Hey! Let's go! Oh my god, I'm ready to have a rave in here! Yo! Okay, so again, like with the kick problem that I was having earlier, where I went back to it later, I was having second thoughts about the water drop sound effects, but I've been playing around with some of the delay presets, and there's one on here called Moving 3. And when I listened to it on its own, I wasn't too sure about it being soloed. It's kind of growing as it goes. But when I add in the rest of the instruments, it's kind of offset with everything else, and it just kind of adds to the beat in a really unique way, I think. Okay, so we are back once again, and it is freezing cold outside, but I want to get this track finished, or as close to finished as I feel like I can for the time being, because it might be something that I'd put on hold and come back to a little bit later. But before I do that, we've got one final ingredient. This involves my most technical, expensive, profound piece of equipment. Yeah, it's time for Korg Monotron. Okay, so yeah, obviously, as you can tell, not the most advanced or expensive piece of equipment, but I really love this thing, and it's, even though it only has like a couple functions, it can create kind of like a triangle sound wave like that, or more of a square one like that. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but it's still pretty versatile, like with the way that you can customize it and stuff. And I think especially for dance tracks like this that I'm working on at the moment, this could really add something special. So let's see what Korg can cook up for us.
Lights on the disco floor, to get feeling the breeze, yeah. Bodies drum off the feeling, everyone's on something now. When the frequency changes, heart rates beat to the pulsing, synchronizing emotion, no one understanding how. It's in your head, moving in your soul,
Okay, so I think I'm basically done with this track. I mean, it's not done, it's not like it can have more added to it. Obviously, there's just like a verse and a pre-chorus at the moment, but I'm kind of happy. Like, as a demo, I feel like this is sounding quite nice at the moment, so I'm gonna park it there for now, and you guys tell me what you feel like I could do to make this better than it is already. Do you feel like it sounds as though it could potentially be released at some point? Because I don't even know if I'm gonna like upload this anywhere at this point, but do you feel like it's worth like doing another verse, or like maybe getting a feature on it? Would you take anything out? Would you add anything into it that isn't there already? So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll be doing more videos in the future, hopefully. If you have any other ideas as well of what I could do for future videos, that would also be really awesome. But I'm gonna sign off for now, and yeah, take care, and I'll see you on the flip side.